Hi Mavericks, it's Mrs. Huck. I'm so excited to show you my culture box, or should I say culture bag. In fact, this is a bag and it's the very first part of my culture because it represents that I am always on the go. And I love it. Whether I'm coming here to school, I bring my backpack, or whether I'm running around to parks or sports with my kids, we always have some kind of bag to carry all of our stuff. Let me show you what else I have inside. The next part of my culture box is a very small crane. It's an artifact. Let me hold it up so that you can see. It's golden, and I chose this artifact because it represents my Japanese heritage. You maybe even learned how to fold a crane like this a couple weeks ago in our passion projects. But origami originated in Japan, and I am Japanese. I was not born in Japan. My parents were not born in Japan. Even my grandparents were not born in Japan. They were born in the United States too. But my great grandparents, that means I'm 4 generations out, they were born in Japan. Now, even though I wasn't born in Japan, being Japanese is still a very big part of my culture today. Next in my culture bag, I have this photograph. This photograph is another artifact I chose. In this photograph, you can see my grandma. That's my mom's mom. Here's my mom. Here's me. And here's my daughter Ruby when she was a baby. This represents how important extended family is to our family. When I grew up, my grandparents were a big part of my everyday life, and my mom is a and dad. They are big parts of my kids' lives every single day. In fact, they even live in the same house as us. Next up in my culture bag, I brought this yearbook. This yearbook is an artifact I chose in my bag because it represents where I grew up. I was born in Boulder and I grew up my entire life in Louisville, Colorado, which is not very far from Erie. This is a special place that I will always hold dear to my heart because it's where I met some very important people. Some of my very best friends today went to kindergarten with me. Just like you're in first or second grade with your friends, I hope they last a lifetime too. It's also a special place to me because it's where I met my husband. That's right. I've known my husband, Corey, since we were in 6th grade together. Next up in my culture bag, I brought this book. It's not only any kind of book, it's a cookbook. This is important to me because I love to cook, especially with my family. It's also a place where we really incorporate a lot of our Japanese culture into cooking. Has a lot of memories to me. Every New Year's, we make a special tradition called mochi. It's said in Japanese culture to bring you good luck in the new year if you eat it. Next up in my culture box, I have this diaper. Luckily, it hasn't been used yet. This is part of my culture because it represents that I'm a mom, which is a big part of me. You might know my daughter Ruby here at Meadowlark, but I also have a son Theo. He'll be here next year. And I have a new daughter named Mabel. She's almost a year old in a couple of weeks. I can't believe it. Last up in my culture box, I have a game. This is a new one and it's one of our all-time favorites. This is called Cha-Cha Chihuahua, where you do a lot of dancing inside of it. This is something important to me because it is something that I've always loved to do growing up, and I continue to love to play games with my family every single week. Mavs, I'm so excited to see and hear about what's a part of your culture.